You are lying in your sleeping bag, listening to the thin, synthetic fabric crinkle every time you take a breath. It is a tiny, mundane sound, the rhythmic rustle of polyester against a camping pad. In the silence of the woods, it feels loud, but to the rest of the world, it is almost nothing. You are separated from the vast, dark wilderness by a wall of nylon that is roughly the thickness of 2 or 3 sheets of paper. You could tear it with your hands. A bear could walk through it without even slowing down. A mountain lion could leap over it. A wolf could silent step right up to your head, and you would never know. You are completely unconscious. Your eyes are closed, your muscles are limp, and your heart rate has dropped to its lowest point. Biologically speaking, you have never been more vulnerable. You are a 150-pound package of calories sitting in a flimsy bag, unable to fight or flee. And yet, the sun will come up, and you will wake up. The predators stayed away. They didn't just miss you, they chose to ignore you. Why would a creature designed by millions of years of evolution to find and kill meat decide to pass up the easiest meal it will ever encounter? The answer isn't that you're lucky. The answer is that you are terrifying. We have spent millennia convincing the natural world that a sleeping human is the most dangerous thing in the woods. But how does an animal that has never seen a gun or a trap know that you are a threat? It starts with the sound of your voice. We tend to think of the lion's roar or the wolf's howl as the ultimate sounds of terror in the wild. But to almost every other creature on this planet, the most frightening sound in existence is a human being having a casual conversation. In 2023, a groundbreaking study was published by researchers from the University of Western Ontario, led by Dr. Liana Zanet. They worked in South Africa's Greater Kruger National Park, a place where the world's most formidable predators live in high density. The team set up hidden cameras and speakers at watering holes. They played various sounds to see how the animals would react. They played the sounds of birds, then the sounds of barking dogs, and then the sounds of lions snarling and growling. Finally, they played recordings of humans speaking in calm, normal tones in local languages like Songa and Zulu. The results were staggering. The animals, elephants, rhinos, giraffes, leopards, and hyenas were twice as likely to run away from the sound of a human talking than they were from the sound of a lion growling. Even more incredible was the speed of the reaction. The animals didn't just move away, they fled 40% faster when they heard a human voice. They abandoned the water even during a drought, just to put distance between themselves and the sound of a person. This is what ecologists call a landscape of fear. We have broadcast a signal of lethality so powerful that it has overridden the natural hierarchy of the food chain. The lion may be the king of the jungle, but to the lion, we are the monsters under the bed. But if our voice is a weapon, what happens when we are silent? Does our scent betray us while we sleep? To a predator, the air is a map. A bear's sense of smell is roughly 2,100 times more sensitive than yours. A wolf can pick up a scent from miles away. When you are asleep in a tent, you are essentially a chemical beacon. You are radiating a cocktail of smells that exist nowhere else in nature. You smell like the synthetic detergents in your clothes, the fluoride in your toothpaste, the processed sugars in your breath, and the complex array of oils on your skin. To a mountain lion or a grizzly, you don't smell like a deer or an elk. You smell like an anomaly. In the wild, anomalies are dangerous. Most large predators are neophobic, which is a fancy way of saying they have a deep biological fear of anything new or unfamiliar. When a predator encounters a scent it doesn't recognize, its first instinct isn't to eat it. Its first instinct is to avoid it. They are specialists, not generalists. A leopard knows exactly how a gazelle smells, how it moves, and how it fights back. It has no data on you. It doesn't know if you taste good, if you're poisonous, or if you have a hidden way of hurting it. For an animal that lives on the razor's edge of survival, the risk of investigating a weird-smelling bag of nylon is almost always higher than the potential reward. They aren't passing you up because they aren't hungry. They're passing you up because they are smart enough to realize they don't understand you. But what if the animal is hungry enough to look past the smell? Why don't they take the risk when the payoff is so high? To understand this, you have to look at the brutal reality of animal health care. A predator has no safety net. If a wolf breaks a leg, it cannot hunt, and it starves. If a lion gets a deep scratch on its eye from a struggling prey animal, the resulting infection can be fatal. If a cougar loses a tooth, its ability to take down large game is permanently compromised. Because of this, every single hunt is a high-stakes gambling match where the animal is betting its life. Evolution does not favor the brave predator. It favors the cautious one. This is why predators spend so much time watching their prey before they strike. They are looking for a weakness, a predictable pattern, or an opening. A sleeping human offers none of those things. When you are lying flat, your silhouette is unrecognizable. You don't look like a bipedal primate. You look like a strange, lumpy object. You aren't moving, which means the predator can't gauge your strength or your reaction time. You are a black box of potential consequences. Most animals will watch a campsite from the shadows for a long time, trying to figure out the rules of the creature inside. When they see the fire, the tools, and the strange way we move, the calculation almost always lands on not worth it. We represent an unpredictable variable in a world where uncertainty equals death. But is it possible that this fear is more than just a calculation? Is it possible that this terror is actually written into their very DNA? For the last 2 million years, humans haven't just been part of the ecosystem. We have been its most effective executioners. We are the only species that has systematically hunted every other apex predator on the planet. From the moment our ancestors figured out how to sharpen a stick, we began a process of artificial selection against bold predators. Think about the wolves that lived 20,000 years ago, the wolves that were curious about human camps, the ones that were brave enough to approach a sleeping group of people, were the ones who got a spear through the chest. They didn't live to have puppies. The wolves that were naturally shy, the ones that felt a deep, instinctive dread at the sight of a human fire and kept their distance, were the ones who survived. They passed that shyness down to their offspring. We have spent hundreds of thousands of years culling the brave genes out of the predator population. The animals alive today are the descendants of the cowards. They are the great-grandchildren of the predators who were smart enough to stay in the shadows. This is why a mountain lion will flee from the sound of a human voice even if it has never seen a human before. It is an inherited memory of a super predator that can kill from a distance, a creature that doesn't hunt with claws, but with its mind. The fear is no longer a choice, it is a prerequisite for existence. So, if the predators are programmed to stay away, why do we still feel so jumpy in the dark? Why does your brain stay so alert even when you are supposed to be resting? This brings us to a fascinating quirk of human biology called the sentinel hypothesis. You might feel like you are dead to the world when you sleep, but your brain is actually performing a sophisticated night watch routine. Humans have some of the shortest and most fragmented sleep cycles of any primate. We spend far more time in light sleep than our cousins, the chimpanzees or gorillas. Researchers like David Sampson of the University of Toronto believe this is an evolutionary adaptation to sleeping on the ground. Throughout human history, we didn't sleep in soundproof bedrooms. We slept in groups around a fire. Our sleep evolved to be asynchronous, meaning that in a group of humans, someone is almost always in a light stage of sleep or transitioning between cycles. We are a collective early warning system. Even in your deepest sleep, your brain is still filtering every sound. It ignores the wind in the trees or the babbling of a brook, but it will snap you wide awake at the sound of a dry twig snapping or the low-frequency vibration of a heavy footfall. You aren't just lying there helplessly. You are running a background program that has been tuned by 1,000,000 years of nighttime threats. You are a sentinel, even when you're dreaming. But what happens when the sentinel system fails and the rules of the wild are broken? What causes the rare, terrifying instances where the invisible barrier between us and the wild actually collapses? When you hear about a predator attacking a sleeping human, it is almost never a normal event. These cases are nearly always driven by what biologists call broken biology. Take the famous Tsavo man-eaters of 1898. Two lions in Kenya killed dozens of railway workers, pulling them right out of their tents at night. For years, people thought these were just evil animals. But modern analysis of their remains told a different story. In 2017, researchers led by Dr. Larissa DeSantis used stable isotope analysis and dental microwear studies to look at the teeth of those lions. They found that one lion had a massive abscess in its jaw and the other had a severely damaged tooth. They weren't hunting humans because they wanted to. They were hunting humans because they had lost the ability to hunt their natural, tougher prey like buffalo and zebras. We were the soft option for an animal that was starving and in pain. The same pattern holds for the Champawat tiger, which killed hundreds of people in the early 20th century. When it was finally killed by Jim Corbett, he found that its upper and lower canine teeth on one side were broken, the result of an old gunshot wound. These animals weren't ignoring the danger of humans. They were so desperate that the risk of death by a human was preferable to the certainty of death by starvation. An attack is almost always a sign of a failing ecosystem or a broken animal. But if the healthy ones are staying away, how much of that is due to our own technology? Does the campfire actually act as a physical shield, or is it something more psychological? Fire is the great divider. It is the one thing that separates us from every other animal on Earth. Almost every creature has an innate, visceral fear of fire. It is an ancient, hard-coded response to the threat of a wildfire. When you sit by a campfire, you are surrounding yourself with a stimulus that says danger to every nervous system within a 5-mile radius. But the fire does something else too. It changes your silhouette. To an animal watching from the darkness, the flickering light of a fire makes your shape shift and dance. It creates strange shadows and makes it impossible for the predator to track your exact position or state of readiness. More importantly, the smoke from a fire masks your scent. It replaces the smell of potential prey with the smell of imminent catastrophe. For 1,000,000 years, the combination of fire and humans has been the most lethal pairing in the natural world. A predator doesn't see a warm, cozy hearth. It sees a glowing warning sign that says the super predator is awake and armed. Even if you are fast asleep, the fire is a proxy for your presence, a glowing representative of your power to manipulate the environment. But even without the fire, we have one more layer of protection that we often forget. Could the very way we sleep be a form of threat display? Think about the way most prey animals sleep. They are curled up, tucked away, or standing in a way that allows for an immediate gallop. Humans, however, often sleep flat on our backs, sprawled out, occupying a significant amount of horizontal space. In the animal kingdom, taking up space is a sign of dominance. Only a creature that has no natural enemies sleeps with its belly exposed. When a predator looks at a sleeping human, it doesn't see a vulnerable posture. It sees an incredibly confident one. Bipedalism, standing on 2 legs, is already a threat display in the wild. It's what bears do to look bigger. It's what gorillas do to intimidate rivals. By simply being a primate that walks upright, we are constantly signaling that we are larger and more dangerous than our weight would suggest. This posture, combined with the fact that we often sleep in groups, creates a fortress effect. Predators are masters of social geometry. They look for the isolated, the weak, and the small. A group of humans, even if they are all unconscious, represents a massive amount of collective potential energy. One person wakes up, they shout, the others wake up, the fire is stoked, and suddenly the predator is facing a coordinated, multi-headed threat. The easy meal suddenly becomes a fight for survival that the predator is almost guaranteed to lose. The math just doesn't add up for them. So, where does that leave us? Are we actually safe, or are we just living in a temporary truce? The truth is that the truce is held together by the memory of our violence. We have created a world where the most successful predators are the ones that give us the widest berth. In the United States, mountain lions have been found to shift their entire activity patterns to avoid hikers, even when those hikers are completely unaware that the cats are there. In a study published in Science in 2017, researchers found that human activity, everything from hiking to driving, has created a human shield effect that is fundamentally restructuring the behavior of every animal on the continent. We don't have to be hunting to be dangerous. Our mere presence is a deterrent. We have terraformed the psychology of the planet. Every time you sleep in the woods and wake up untouched, you are seeing the result of a 2 million-year-old war that we won so convincingly that the enemy has surrendered completely. They aren't ignoring you because they are nice, and they aren't ignoring you because they aren't hungry. They are ignoring you because in the deep lizard brain part of their soul, they know exactly what you are. They know that the creature in the nylon bag is the descendant of the people who wiped out the mammoths, domesticated the wolves, and turned the wilderness into a backyard. You are the apex of the apex. But what if that fear starts to fade? This is the concern of modern ecologists. As we move into an era where hunting is less common and more people are entering wilderness areas for recreation, some predators are starting to lose their fear of the super predator. This is called habituation. When a bear learns that humans mean tasty snacks in a backpack rather than spear in the ribs, the ancient calculation changes. This is why the most dangerous animal in the woods isn't the one that's hungry, it's the one that's comfortable. When we feed wildlife or leave trash out, we are actively dismantling the invisible shield that has kept us safe for eons. We are teaching them that we are not, in fact, terrifying. We are teaching them that we are just another animal, and once that lesson is learned, it is very hard to unlearn. The reason you can sleep soundly tonight isn't because the woods are peaceful, it's because the woods are terrified. The silence of the night is actually a high-pitched scream of caution from every living thing that isn't you. We are the ghosts that haunt the forest, and as long as the predators believe in ghosts, we stay safe. But there is one final piece to this puzzle, a realization that changes the way you look at a campsite forever. Think back to that thin nylon wall of your tent. You think of it as your protection, but it's actually a blindfold. It's not there to keep the animals out. It's there to keep you from seeing how often they are actually there. Biologists using trail cameras near popular campsites have found that large predators, bears, cougars, and wolves regularly pass within feet of sleeping tents. They come close enough to smell your breath. They stand there in the dark, watching the rhythmic rise and fall of the nylon. They are there. They see you. They hear your heartbeat. And then they turn around and walk away. They aren't avoiding your tent. They are avoiding you. They are looking at that 150-pound pile of meat and seeing a landmine. They see a history of fire and iron and blood. They see the species that took over the world. And so, they step back into the shadows and leave you to your dreams. They leave you to wake up in the morning and wonder why you were ever afraid of the dark. This brings us back to that rustling sound of your sleeping bag. It's such a small, fragile thing, isn't it? A few ounces of plastic and down. It feels like nothing against the weight of the wild. But that's the paradox. The thinner the tent, the more obvious the truth becomes. You aren't safe because of the tent. You aren't safe because of the sleeping bag. You are safe because of the name written on your DNA. You are the thing that goes bump in the night for everything else. You are the reason the woods go quiet when a footstep falls. Next time you're out there and you feel that prickle on the back of your neck, don't worry. That's just your ancient sentinel brain doing its job. It's reminding you that you're in a place where the rules are different. But remember, the predators are feeling that same prickle too, and they've been feeling it for a lot longer than you have. Think about the sheer weight of that evolutionary pressure. For hundreds of generations, Every single predator that looked at a human camp and thought maybe was deleted from the gene pool. We didn't just survive. We edited the world until it was a place where we could be vulnerable in peace. We turned the most dangerous animals on Earth into cautious observers. We turned the night into our waiting room. The fact that you can close your eyes in a forest and expect to open them 8 hours later is a miracle of cultural and biological engineering. It is the single greatest achievement of our species. We didn't just build cities, we built an invisible perimeter of dread that covers the entire planet. We made the world safe for the weak, the tired, and the sleeping. But there's a haunting thought to end on. When researchers look at the toothwear of those Tsavo lions, the ones that did break the rules, they found something very specific. The lions didn't eat the whole person. They were selective. They ate the soft tissues, the parts that were easiest to get to for an animal with broken teeth. They treated the humans exactly like what they were, a desperate, last resort substitute for the real thing. It was a cold, clinical decision made by a dying animal. It proves that the rules only work as long as the world is healthy, as long as the predators have their natural prey, and as long as they stay wild, the invisible agreement holds. The moment the environment breaks, the ghosts become meat again. So, as you lie there in your tent tonight, listening to the thin fabric crinkle, remember that your safety is a luxury provided by a functioning planet. You are sleeping behind a wall of history, a barrier built from the memories of a million hunts. The thin nylon is just a courtesy. The real wall is the one you carry inside you, the one that makes the mountain lion turn its head and the wolf lower its gaze. You are the nightmare that the forest tells its children about. And that is why, as the embers of your fire die down and the darkness presses in, the only things moving in the shadows are the ones that are already running away. That thin, rustling fabric isn't keeping the world out. It's keeping the world from seeing the monster that's sleeping inside. Because as those Tsavo lions found out too late, a human being is never more dangerous than when they are forced to stop being just a sleeper. Stay curious, stay respectful of the wild, and if you want to keep exploring these biological rabbit holes, consider subscribing. After all, it's a lot more comfortable to learn about the landscape of fear from the safety of your own bedroom. In the end, that tiny crinkle of your sleeping bag is the only proof you need. It's the sound of a creature that has nothing left to fear, even when its eyes are closed. And out there in the dark, they are still listening to it, and they are still staying away, just like they were taught, just like they remember.